Hello everyone, very good evening. I welcome all of you to today's daily quiz session. Now before we begin with analyzing the questions for today, there is a gentle reminder, an important reminder. Now those of you who are looking to qualify your civil services exam at the very first shot, and yet you are experiencing certain constraints, obstacles, problems, queries, questions with regards to your preparation, then kindly stop thinking and I request you to fill up the Google form that has been provided in the description link of this video. Now why it helps you is because it will enable us to provide you a one-on-one direct counseling session with our experts. Not only will they guide you until the date of your exam, but they will also suggest you, recommend you by closing all the ends, ensuring a smooth preparation journey. So kindly do not think twice and immediately fill up the form and enable us to provide this assistance to you ASAP. Now, zoning back to today's agenda, let's see which questions we have for analysis today in the quiz session. And the very first question here talks about copper mining. Yes, one such relevant topics which has off and on been in the news, and let's see what these statements have to say. The first question says, consider the following statements. The first says, Chile, that is South America, has world's largest copper reserves, while Zambia, that's Africa that we are referring to, is the second largest producer of copper in Africa. Now, at the outset, the statement looks semi-correct because we know that Chile absolutely is not only the largest global copper producer, but it also has the largest global copper reserves. Definitely half of the statements is valid, but the second half is questionable. So we might have heard about the Katanga Zambia zone in Africa that's very, very well known for its copper mining belt. However, Zambia is not the first, but indeed the second largest producer of copper in Africa. So which means that there is nothing wrong with the question because the largest copper producing African region happens to be the DCR, the Democratic Republic of Congo, the DRC. So we can then say that the first statement is absolutely valid here because Zambia indeed is the second largest producer of copper in Africa. Let's see the second statement now. It says Madhya Pradesh is the leading copper producing state in India, followed by Manipur. Now, once again, a slight twist because indeed Madhya Pradesh is the leading copper producing state in India, but at the second spot is not Manipur. In fact, it is Rajasthan, and then to be followed by Jharkhand. These three happen to contribute to maximum copper mining and production in India. So therefore, statement 2 becomes invalid. So we know that neither is C nor D is the valid choice. Now let's quickly see the third and the last statement. It says calcolite, chalcopyrite and bauxite are some popular ores of copper. Slightly confusing though, but bauxite is a very well-known aluminum ore, and more than 80% of copper mining is done through chalcopyrite and chalcocite. So we know that statement 3 is not completely correct, and hence here we can presume and say that A happens to be the correct answer because only the first statement qualifies as the right one, whereas the next two are only semi-correct, partially correct. Now let's proceed with the second question today, which talks about Suez Canal. Once again, some topic that's heavily making the headlines right now because of the Yemen-based Houthi rebels and how have they, since the past few weeks, constantly been targeting commerce and trade in the Suez Canal area. Reason being, they strongly are against all the ships that are to and fro from Israel. Although located in Egypt, there is no direct involvement of this region in the Israel-Hamas war. But it is because of the Houthi rebellion and constant attacks in this area that today the global supply chain is massively under threat, attracting condemnation from not only countries like China but also India, whose imports have been severely impacted. Now back to the question. The first statement says the Suez Canal is the first canal directly connecting the Mediterranean Sea to the Red Sea. Yes, let's refer to the map in fact to have a better clarity, and the first statement is absolutely valid. It is a man-made maritime canal, a water body that does create a direct link between the Mediterranean and the Red Seas, thereby saving a lot of fuel cost, time, energy that would otherwise have taken for the ships had they taken the alternate route down the coast or down the Cape of Africa. And hence, the first statement absolutely is valid. In fact, let's also remember that once it was opened for navigation back in 1869, since then, the Suez Canal has served as the shortest maritime route between Europe and Asia. It contributes to more than 40% of global maritime trade, and hence any blockage automatically has a rippling effect on global trade, a situation that we are confronting right now. Now, off to the second statement, an easy one. It is a human-made waterway, indeed, that cuts north-south across the Isthmus of Suez in Egypt. Well, once again, as we just had a look at the map, absolutely it is situated in the Isthmus of Suez in the Egypt, making this a complete geographical question, and both these statements, therefore, are absolutely valid, and C becomes the correct answer. Let's now hop on to the next and the third question for the day. And this is in the Eastern Indian context. Not only Eastern, Central, Eastern, Southern states. Some of the states which have been notorious, which have been making news because of ongoing extremist movement, whether it be the demands for separation or secessionist demands. A very important topic of polity, Naxalism and Maoism. So, consider the following statements in this light. Why does this question suddenly make so much sense? It is obviously because yesterday we saw how Honorable Home Ministry has actually committed to a short 3-year deadline in order to remove all the Maoism and all the extremism that persists in the state of Chhattisgarh. Now let's remember, the southern tip of Madhya Pradesh, the borders adjoining with Chhattisgarh are an area which are extremely well known for being the Red Corridor. In fact, this name very often comes in the news, Red Corridor, Red Region. All of this refers to the ongoing Naxalist insurgency in these areas, a left-wing extremist movement. Now let's look at the first statement. It says all forms of Naxalite organizations have been declared as terrorist organizations under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of India 1967. Well, that's absolutely correct. Now, this law, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act of India, is sometimes also dubbed as the Anti-Terror Law. Why suddenly was it such a big debate back in 2019 to 2021? That was precisely because of an amendment that it experienced back in 2019. According to that amendment, this act, often also called as the UAPA, was amended in 2019 in such a manner that not only could the union government declare an extremist organization as terrorist, but it could also hold an individual and label them as terrorist should they be indulging in any anti-Indian activity. And this individual prosecution could be undertaken without any formal judicial process involved. So that's why UAPA was in the news, and the first statement is absolutely valid. Coming to the second statement here, the area affected by Naxalism, often referred to as the Red Corridor, spans many parts of India, specifically states of Andhra, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Odisha, Telangana and West Bengal. Well, absolutely that's a correct statement once again, because certain parts of Maharashtra, indeed many parts of Telangana, rest while part of the broader Andhra Pradesh. Areas of Jharkhand, Bihar, all of these have been well-known hotspots of Naxalism, Maoism, insurgency activities, and hence both these statements absolutely are valid, making C the correct answer because all these statements are valid for us. Now quickly hop off to the last question that we have here in today's quiz, and this is question 4, which says, consider the following statements regarding smart lander for investigating moon. The SLIM mission that has been buzzing news because this mission has made Japan enter an elite group of countries to have landed a spacecraft on the moon with a soft landing. So Japan, with this mission, indeed, the JAXA, the Japanese Aeronautics Agency, has become the 5th such to successfully soft land a lunar mission. So the first statement automatically becomes valid that with this achievement, Japan has become the 5th country to soft land successfully a spacecraft on the moon. So statement 1 is valid. Let's talk about the statement 2. The mission, nicknamed as Moon Sniper, aimed for unprecedented landing accuracy, targeting within 100 meters of its designated site. Well, absolutely. In fact, the reason why the SLIM mission was nicknamed as Moon Sniper was because of its unparalleled commitment to make landing near about 100 meters to the designated site. Now, this is obviously unparalleled because the conventional landing missions generally keep a more broad target. They do not target such a specific landing. In fact, it is several kilometers away from the designated site that is thought of as original landing destination, and therefore statement 2 is absolutely valid. The precision has earned the name Moon Sniper. Talking about the third statement, it talks about the objective of the SLIM mission, and this being to explore regions of moon for potential sources of oxygen and water, which are vital for sustaining life and they serve as a rocket fuel. Absolutely, the statement 3 is also valid because one of the stated missions, one of the stated targets of this endeavor, this enterprise, was to actually explore thoroughly the polar areas of the moon so as to find resources like oxygen, water, hydrogen, resources that can serve up as major energy providers for the future. So definitely a thorough resource extraction is one of the stated aims, making 3 also as the valid statement. And because the mission is experiencing some technical snag when it comes to the solar panel, the solar panels have not opened up as expected for energy generation, and that's why also the mission has been making news, and a very important topic indeed for the prelims perspective. So here once again we can say that all 3 statements here are valid, making all the above statements completely correct. With this, let's now proceed with a PYQ that has been picked from 2016 for you. Let's read the question. It says, establishment of payment banks is being allowed in India to promote financial inclusion. In this regard, which of the following statements is or are correct? Now, before we even see the options, it's good to remind to ourselves what is payment bank. Indeed, payment bank is something which RBI has given nod to. In fact, it had given nod to back in 2015-2016 period. These serve kind of like conventional banks. The only difference is that these operate at a much smaller scale, and the most unique feature, they involve no credit risk as such. It is also very good to remember that back in 2016, it was the Airtel Payments Bank, which was the first one to receive license as a payment bank by the Reserve Bank of India. Now let's examine the first statement here. Mobile telephone companies and supermarket chains that are owned and controlled by residents, individuals, are eligible to be promoters of payment banks. Yes, the statement is absolutely valid. After getting a nod from the RBI, indeed, individuals, corporate houses, business houses, retail chains, supermarket chains, all of these can be the promoters of payment banks. So the first statement is totally correct. Having a look at the second statement, it seems very off. Because as we know, Payment banks come with an advantage that as compared to the conventional banks, they do not involve any credit risk. And the statement here says, payment banks can issue both credit cards and debit cards. Well, no, because although they can issue debit cards and ATM cards, but they aren't authorized to issue credit cards. So there is something wrong with the second statement. Coming to the third statement now. It says payment banks cannot undertake lending activities. Very valid. Yes, they cannot either issue credit cards nor can they actually undertake any loan giving or lending activities, making 3 also as a correct statement. So which means that 1 and 3 here are valid, making B as the right answer. Post this, let's quickly have a look at an interesting fact of the day. Now here we are talking about one such mission which, once undertaken, is going to invite India into a club of 7 elite countries. Now, India will be only the 7th nation to enter into a club of nations, a club of countries that has a specific, thoroughly dedicated national quantum mission to its credit. Now, under the National Quantum Mission, recently, the government advised setting up of technology hubs or T-hubs. So 4 such hubs are envisaged to be created across the country. What is the intention? The intention is to propagate and to promote a thorough research and development, link between academia and industry, to promote a whole academic culture for promoting quantum technology in India. Not only will it enable creating better quantum computers which have an excessively unparalleled fast speed, a great speed of processing, but also involving quantum technology into various corporate channels as well. The purpose is once again to promote a faster, reliable, better navigation, communication and data processing. So now the next step indeed is going to be setting up of technology hubs which cut across not only quantum computing but also quantum sensing. It has huge applications in climate prediction, oceanography, meteorology, quantum materials and devices and communication. So therefore, it is a very, very important step that has been nodded to by the cabinet. And the National Quantum Mission, therefore, will also work and collaborate with many more startups in order to research cheaper, easily accessible and more accurate technologies in this regard. Now, the parent department is going to be the Department of Science and Technology, which shall provide facilitators in the research area. The only intention is to make sure that India develops a capacity of competing at international level along with other nations who are looking and working into the quantum physics field. So with this now, we practically come to an end of today's session. But then before I leave, before I say goodbye, once again a gentle reminder regarding the Google form, which shall provide you the facility of one-on-one counseling session. So with the prelims exam just round the corner, do not think twice, immediately fill off the form, let us know, and we shall provide this easy counseling session for you, which shall definitely be very, very empowering. Have a good day, see you and take care.